Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and welcome to the first video of 2024. Now I hope you all had a lovely Christmas period and yeah, it's time to get on with the year, and we're going to start it off with my BMW 220i Gran Coupe M Sport. Now we bought this car off of Inchcape Chelmsford around, was it end of February time? March time last year, so it's quickly coming up to the 1 year of ownership mark, so I feel like this is a good time to do my long-term owner's review. And I've got no problems with the car. It is pretty much everything you'd need in a entry-level BMW saloon car or Gran Coupe. Now there's a couple of little things that I dislike about the car, but they're like silly little things, and I'll do a separate video, like a 5 things I hate kind of video about the Gran Coupe, and it's not like hate as such, but if you watch that video you'll understand what I mean. But yeah, there's not much to say about this car. It's pretty standard spec for a 220i. It's sapphire black, which is an optional extra of like £700, but this was a car that was in stock at time during a new and used car sale event, and we picked it up shortly after. Nice and simple. It's front wheel drive. It's got the same 2-litre turbocharged engine that was in the is in the 320i Touring that I drove a couple of years ago, another car supplied by Inchcape. And yeah, so it's got 178 PS and a bit of torque to go with it. It's not a sporty car. It's got your standard 3 drivers mode, your eco, your comfort and your sport, but it mainly just sits in eco all the time. That's what it's for. It's a economical, sensible, everyday daily. Now admittedly, I wasn't a lover of the Gran Coupe when it was first released a few years ago. I thought, well, it's just like a one series with a big boot on the back. Now you might as well just buy a 3 series. But I've actually come to love it, and if I could, I'd probably swap this out for a 235i just so I could have a bit more fun with it. It does everything it needs to do perfectly, and it is the perfect entry-level BMW for a young couple, a young family, or anyone that just wants a nice daily car with a bit of practicality. It's a good all-round car, and I like the styling of it. It's not a bad looking car either for a sensible car. A lot of cars nowadays seem a bit dull and dumbed down, but it looks, you can probably agree with me, it looks fairly aggressive for a standard non-sporty car, and some slight little tweaks and modifications you can actually make it look really nice. Like, an idea is that on the 118, and depending on what spec you get, or sorry, the 218 Gran Coupe and what spec you get, you can have an all black grille, whereas this is chrome as standard on this one. I thought might be nice just to swap it out for a black grille, just to, you know, go for the all black stealth look. Might be a bit nice one day to do, with a little, maybe like a little M Sport lip on the back as well on the boot, just to liven things up a little bit. Now because it's the 220i M Sport, it actually makes it quite a rare car. No particular reason why, but for some reason people aren't speccing this car, because you have the 218i, which is the 1.5 3-cylinder turbocharged engine petrol, or the 220i, or the 235i, which is the top of the range 300 horsepower sport. And I guess there's no real reason to have the 220i in the middle, not that I can think of anyway. The only difference I can think is that people go for the 1.5 218i because it's the cheapest to run, the most fuel efficient. Yeah, or they want the sporty one. So no one really has the 220i. I'm not going to say it's going to be good for resale value and all that, because it's not a special car, it's not a collector's car, it's not a, yeah, it's just a thing, no one has it. So when I do see one, I'm like, oh, rare car. And because it has a twin tip exit exhaust, doesn't make it mean it's going to sound much more sporty. It sounds all right for what it is, and I'll give you a little demonstration, but it's not like really sporty, grr, aggressive noise, just subtle. Now finally, on the outside is obviously the boot. Pretty standard boot. Obviously it's bigger than the 1 series. Again, a nice entry-level size boot. You could fit pretty much most things that you need to fit in there, and it even has a false floor just to make it a little bit deeper, so you can cover all your crap and no one has to see it. But it does obviously make it quite a bit deeper, so you can fit more stuff. It's just practical, and then that also folds up and latches in like that as well, so you could have it permanently deeper. So it's just all the little things that you never really thought you ever needed. Again, it's a practical car. There's not much more to say about it. Now, I'm not going to be hammering it around the lanes like I do in the M2 and the i5 I did to test performance and everything, because I've driven this car for the past year and I'm not saying it's lacking in performance, but it's just not made for that. So there's no need for it. If you want to see the performance side of things and everything, then go look at the 235i. Actually driving the car, there is nothing wrong with it. It's a delightful car to drive. It's pretty well refined, and apart from the road noise which you get in any car, it's just as quiet as an EV when you're driving normally. It's nice. It's a nice place to be. You don't obviously get that much noise from the engine with a standard exhaust system. It's only the little 2-litre engine, so it's not made for sport, like sporty driving, but as a standard BMW setup, they give you the options of Sport, Comfort and Eco Pro. We mainly drive it in Eco Pro just because that's what the car's for, really. It's an economical entry family car, I guess. Being an Eco Pro, obviously, there's quite a bit of play on the throttle without much response, but if we just go Sport, straight away you can feel everything stiffen up a little bit. Steering wheel gets heavier. The throttle response on the pedal is pretty much instantly. Obviously your dials go red, so that's like playtime, but I don't know if you're going to hear it because, again, there's not much noise from the exhaust. But if I just slightly did downshifts, and yeah, away we go. And then as soon as you press the Eco button or Comfort button again, you sort of feel everything sort of like soften up a little bit. The suspension doesn't change, there's no change there, but it's just the steering wheel gets lighter, and as a standard suspension setup car, it's nice. It's not too firm. It's nice around town. It's just a good all-rounder. Like, obviously it's comfortable on the motorways. We done a couple of long trips in it recently where we done like 500 miles in one day, and it just munched up the miles beautifully. And we've done a couple of long trips as well in it with 4 people in the car, and again, passengers in the back, grown adults, didn't have any issues with it. They were comfortable in the back. There's enough leg room. Could maybe do with a tiny bit more headroom for the taller people, but for me personally, I'm fine. Well, you might be able to see that I'm going over sort of like bumps and potholes and that in the road, and you can. So you might have heard the manhole, but nothing. Soaked it up, lovely. There's another one. A little bit of a bump, but I can't feel anything through my back or anything like that. So, but again, with the buttons, I feel like the sport mode button is a bit redundant, because yeah, you can have some fun with it and press it, and we can like. It picks up well, but there's not much noise. It's pretty fun, but it's not really the car for it. So I feel like you just kind of, I don't know. You might be pressing it just for the sake of pressing it, just for them little bursts. But I guess on this model it might be a bit redundant. You probably only really need the Comfort and the Eco. If you want the Sport, obviously you maybe just go one up and go for the M235i. But saying that, it has got the same turbocharged 2-litre engine that was in the 320i Touring that I drove a couple of years ago. And that means there's like a really loud, nice turbo flutter. So if you put it in sport mode and you just feather the throttle the right amount, let's see if I can get it to do it and you can hear it. get it. If you get it right, you just you get a nice little and just one of them things. It's a bit childish, but it makes you laugh. Then obviously you've got the standard Trigon cloth and half leather seats, which they're comfortable. No complaints there. They're heated seats. No complaints at all. They are what they are. They're not meant to be like bucket seats or sporty seats, but they have got a nice bolster around you which you can adjust a little bit, and they hold you in place pretty well. Even the rear seats, they're nothing fancy, but they are comfortable and they're nice for them long trips. But when that's all done, if you drive the car sensibly, normally how it's meant to be driven, you'll get home at the end of the day, wherever you've driven, whether you've done 10 miles or 100 miles or whatever, you'll get in, you'll park up and you go, bloody hell, that's all I've used. Because the economy is probably its biggest feature for this car, I reckon. Most companies now go, no, you'll get 30, 35 to the gallon, and like being proud about it, but then like there's this car just sitting in the background going, yeah, you wait. Yeah, it can easily get more than what it's advertised as. So I'd like to think I've summed this car up pretty well. There's no point doing some like really dramatic B-roll and fast flybys past the camera and all that sort of stuff, because like I said, it's not that sort of car. It's not what you buy this car for. It's more the practical side of things, a daily, a commutable, a business car. That's what it's for. It hasn't got the power to be doing all that sort of stuff, or the noise either. So it's like, if I do a fly past the camera, you're just going to get, that's it, road noise and wind. So everything that you need to know about this car is inside the car, and it does everything you need well. Steering's nice, throttle response is nice depending on which mode you're in. Gearbox is nice all round. Like obviously with the more sportier cars, when you go into like Sport and Sport Plus, you get a bit of a juddery gearbox at lower speeds. Because you haven't got to worry about any of that, you don't have any of them issues in this car, so that's fine as well. Road noise, fine, below average, light level, I'd say, for most cars. Just noise in general, it's a nice quiet car to be in. It's comfy, the seats are comfy, there's plenty of gizmos that you need in a car. It hasn't got like things like wireless phone charging and all that, but you've got plenty of USB-C and USB ports to keep things charged. So that's it really. It's summed up. Used it for the past year, I haven't got any problems. Like it, there's no real urgency or like to get rid of it, like, or bored of it or things like that. What more do you want? So I will leave it on that note. It's a perfect, cheap, entry-level Gran Coupe. That's what it is. So if you like that video, if you want to know some dislikes and likes about the car, I'll put the link at the beginning of the video for like things that I like and hate about the car. A little bit interesting, I guess, for insurance purposes and stuff like that, but that's in that video. So leave a comment down below what you think. Like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and welcome to 2024. And yeah, let's see what the rest of the year brings us. So for now, enjoy the rest of your day, evening, week, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.